No matter what watered-down version people tell you about, Sharia law is inherently flawed because of at least three reasons. Firstly, it doesn't permit freedom of expression. Secondly, it is prejudiced and discriminatory in its judgments. And thirdly, it's barbaric in its punishments. You may have heard that it's okay to use it in the UK or elsewhere in Europe because it's only a form of arbitration that can dovetail with secular and national laws. If you think this is so, then I would ask you to consider these two fine examples from the UK. A recent inheritance dispute was handled by the Sharia court in Nuneaton. The estate of a Midlands man was divided between 3 daughters and 2 sons. The judges on the panel gave the sons twice as much as the daughters, in accordance with Sharia. Had the family gone to a normal British court, the daughters would have got equal amounts. Again, 6 cases of domestic violence were brought to the same Sharia court. The judges ordered the husbands to take anger management classes and mentoring from community elders. There was no further punishment. In each case the women subsequently withdrew the complaints they had lodged with the police, and the police therefore couldn't go any further with their investigations. Proponents of Sharia law here in Europe claim that the courts only deal with civil matters such as marriage, child custody, divorce and inheritance, but these are the cornerstones of the subjugation of women and children. A recent decision at the House of Lords in the case of E.M. has confirmed that Sharia laws are arbitrary and discriminatory and incompatible with human rights. In 2004, the European Human Rights Court ruled that the introduction of Sharia was incompatible with the requirements of a democratic society. Proponents argue that Sharia law will not extend to criminal matters and we will not be witness to stonings and amputations. However, Sharia courts have already decided on at least one known criminal case, and they have now sought to influence the outcome in domestic violence cases in criminal proceedings. They also plan to expand their work in so-called small criminal matters. And we know what Sharia law prescribes in criminal proceedings: stoning to death for adultery, execution for homosexuality, and floggings for improper veiling, mixing with the opposite sex, and drinking alcohol. In Afghanistan on January the 22nd, 2008, a 24-year-old apprentice journalist was sentenced to death by a Sharia court. The crime? Blasphemy. He had downloaded an article from an Iranian website and had brought it into his journalism class. In an appeal, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison. In Somalia, in early November 2008, a 13-year-old girl was stoned to death after having been raped. In September 2008, the Islamic regime in Iran codified the death penalty for male and life imprisonment for female apostates. Don't be fooled. Sharia law controls every single aspect of your private and public life. Girls from the age of puberty can be married. Shoplifting is punishable by amputation. Anyone who criticises the Qur'an or Mohammed can be legally murdered. You are not allowed to sing or dance or even laugh in public. Art, music and literature as we know them are simply not permitted. The legal witness of a man is worth more than a woman. Don't be mistaken. Whilst Sharia law is not fundamentally different from other religious laws, because it's part and parcel of a political movement with state power, its medieval rules become the laws of the land for millions. Sharia and all religious-based laws are incompatible with the 21st century. It is incompatible with any society that wants to maintain freedom and equality for all. During the Enlightenment, our predecessors fought to remove the legal system from the biased grip of religion and push Christianity out of the public sphere. We must do the same again. We reject Sharia law because it's discriminatory, cruel and barbaric, and demand an end to Sharia law across the world. We unequivocally support the struggle of people everywhere, whether in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, or in Britain and the West, to oppose Sharia and live in secular societies where at a minimum religion is a private matter and separate from the state, legal and educational systems, and universal human rights and citizen rights are guaranteed. Whilst the movement against Sharia and political Islam have been ongoing for several decades, primarily in countries under Islamic rule, we thought it important to make links with all those working against this brutality and inhumanity across the continents. so we could stand shoulder to shoulder and say no to Sharia law, with the many others doing so day in and day out, despite repression and death threats. That is why there is now a global statement against Sharia law to be found on shariapetition.com. This site will link you to all the national petitions and campaigns that again can be signed and supported by anyone in the world. The movement is starting with a global effort to support the UK national petition called One Law for All. The UK is in a similar position to that in which Canada found itself before 2005. In the UK, though, Sharia has already crept in and is being integrated into normal everyday legal systems under the initial guise of a viable arbitration mechanism. However, it must be stopped dead in its tracks right now. And be reassured, it is possible, it is not too late. Because of a similar petition and campaign supported globally by people all around the world, in 2005 Canada was able to remove this biased and unjust system of law and uphold equal and citizenship rights for all. A massive campaign is being organised in the UK to support this petition and drive this loathsome form of legalised inequality and prejudice from Britain too. Anyone in the world can sign the UK One Law for All petition, and it's being supported by leading lights in the international fight for equality and freedom. All you have to do is go to shariapetition.com, acknowledge that you support the global statement against Sharia law, and then sign the UK petition. Other national petitions are on their way and will be accessed through the single global doorway of shariapetition.com. This will help further coordinate and support the crucial work being done against Sharia law in many places. I want to encourage you to get every single person you know to go to that website, shariapetition.com, and sign the UK petition One Law for All. This is the time to act. The world's press and politicians will be monitoring the number of people who support the global statement against Sharia on shariapetition.com and this first and most urgent national petition, One Law for All, which aims to remove Sharia from the United Kingdom just like the previous petition and campaign successfully removed Sharia from Canada. We can and will make a difference. People everywhere deserve better. There can be no place for Sharia in the 21st century, full stop. Has there ever been a better time to make your voice count?